Hello, this is Lila with Tea with the Goddess. Today we are celebrating the new moon. And again, I can't remember what sign. It is November. It is the last day of November. So we're also honoring the last day of the month of smiles, the month of happiness. And the things that have been coming up are, well, I think we talked about this last video, cycles, things going in cycles, but also degrees. Like the difference between very cold and freezing is 1 degree. And the difference in our thermostat, for example, between chill and more than warm enough is actually 1 degree. And there's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's just one straw. That final thing that puts us over the edge, the final drop of water that makes the cup overflow. It is just one thing, just 1 degree of difference that changes things. But in order for that 1 degree to make a difference, it is built on, added to, connected with all the other degrees, or the other straws, or the other pebbles. So it is both a thing of, yes, just one makes a difference, but it's also just one on a foundation of just ones. Every single part of that contributed to the change, to the tip, to the overflow. And she pauses. That's been feeling very profound for me. Because since we're in the new moon, and the new moon is about letting go or starting new things, or honoring what we're ready to release. It means that a couple things. It means that, every step we take is going to lead to the finish line. It also means that every step we don't take can keep us from something we don't want. So, for example, if we're talking straws and things overflowing, and cycles, if I am able to, at the end of the day, release anger or frustration, to work through or work out, or even just acknowledge what issues I might have had, then it's not going to be a straw that is added. It is not going to be a drop in the cup, because I've already dealt with it. I've already worked through it, or acknowledged it as part of a cycle, as part of a flow of things. Because things do flow. There's, the yay and the rise, and then there's the fall and the release. And releasing things is for happy things as well as for frustrating things. And a wonderful trip still has an end, and you come home and you sit and you finish and you reflect on the trip, and then you say thank you, and you move on. I move on, we move on to the next event. And we can look forward to the next trip, and we can look forward to being at home for a while. The thing to let go is the comparison of the last trip. The next one is not going to be the same. It might be similar, but it won't be the same. Every day is different. So the things that happened today, even though I may have the same activities tomorrow, they're going to be a little different. And so for yoga, for example, every time I do the yoga, I stretch a little more, I'm able to move a little more easily, or I understand the pose a little more easily. And so I create the steps or the foundations, or if we're talking painful moments, I release some of this stress in the muscles, and allow them more movement. Each step takes me a little bit closer or a little bit farther away to or from something. But each time I do a yoga pose, it gets to be approached as new, because today, doing it, I may have been nice and warm and slept well and didn't do a lot of exercise yesterday, so the muscles feel loose. And tomorrow, the same pose may be a little more constricted because I did a lot of exercise today, or a lot of cleaning, or stayed up way too late and didn't sleep, which is most likely. Or tomorrow's at yoga, I may be able to stretch a little farther because it's warm and still remembers how good it feels. So I can't compare it to last and say, this is the way it has to be. I get to release yesterday's yoga poses, the successes and the failures, or not failures, but the end result of each one, and say that was yesterday. And I get to acknowledge that the next time I do them will be a different cycle, a different beginning, a different flow, a different full extension, and then a different ending. And hopefully it will feel better. And the steps that I took yesterday will lend to an improvement tomorrow. But the release at the end of yesterday's yoga is to acknowledge that that was yesterday's yoga. And so tomorrow's will be new and fresh and right for whatever I need at the time. I'm pretty sure that made sense in my head. I hope I was able to verbalize it. But the final thing is everything has a cycle. Everything has its beginning and ending. And even when we come back around to it and we go, why am I dealing with this again? I thought I had put in all the work. I thought I had finished having issues standing on one foot. It is a new day. It is a new foundation there's more water in the glass or less because it's already overflowed. So while it may feel like the same cycle over and over and over again, it is actually built on or dealing with something a little new. And each time we work through a cycle, we take it to the next level. We put another foundation down. We put another degree on whatever we are trying to do or create. And so each time we fulfill a cycle, each time we end, each time we release it to yesterday, we are still creating, taking a step toward the final thing we're working for. Almost there, almost there. So I have a feeling this will come up again, because each time I'm able to talk about it, talk it through, a little more comes clear in my head. And it is applicable to everything. Cycles and degrees is important for the little stuff, getting out of bed in the morning, and the big stuff, from work projects to home renovation to, where I'm going to go for a vacation or whatever. The more I can figure out how I work, how my cycles flow, what degree makes that difference between cold and frozen, or between warm enough and too hot. When I can find my comfort zone, and my abilities, and how far I really want to stretch and how far is too far, I can apply it to everything. And, well, honestly, that just means I'll do more cycles and realize more ways that it needs to be applied, and all the things I've built up for the last 40 to 50 years, I will now be unbuilding so that I can reach my nirvana, my total happiness. But it is fascinating that the more things I work on, the more times I talk about it, the more cycles I go through, the more I realize that it is all applicable. I do it my way, and my way applies to everything that I do. So that is today's meandering with the goddess. I hope it was a lovely month, and I hope that December is also a good one. I know that it is a difficult time. Mental games, the sun goes away, family stress, memories come in. There can be a feeling of claustrophobia for me, because lots of clouds. But also it is simply part of the cycle. And the things that help us move gently through can help us move through a day. And the sun is coming back in 21 days. So I get to enjoy today, knowing that this cycle is going to be releasing. and a new one will begin. So thank you for meandering with me, and I hope you're having a great day. Oop.